Warren Publishing and Famous Monsters of Filmland present the 1965 Do-It-Yourself Monster Makeup Handbook by the great Dick Smith. Okay, folks, today we are looking at an issue that, as you can see, it's kind of beat up, it's taped. There's a tear here. There's just what would be considered definitely a low-grade copy, but I've had this for decades. I've actually used this. Dick Smith Do-It-Yourself Monster Makeup Handbook, published by Warren, Famous Monsters of Filmland. How to have fun creating your own monster makeup. Over 250 exciting pictures with simple and easy to follow instructions by famous makeup artist Dick Smith. So let's get into it, shall we? Now you can be a famous monster. And Dick Smith opens it up here. Do you like monster movies? Then you will probably find that making yourself up as a monster is even more fascinating. Makeup is an exciting hobby, but it has been enjoyed by only a few young people because learning how to do it was very difficult. It was my hobby when I was a teenager, so I know both the difficulties and the excitement. I enjoyed makeup so much that I became a professional makeup artist, and after 20 years, I still love it. The various makeups are designed to illustrate the greatest variety of methods and materials. The knowledge that you gain from each one will enable you to create many other makeups of your own. All of the examples are monsters because they are the most fun, but the techniques are the same for all character makeup and can be used for other types as well. Dick Smith, Member Society of Makeup Artists. We've got the index here, getting started, where to buy materials, makeups with simple materials, nose putty and mortician's wax, scars, cuts, bruises, and blood. Boy, there's making your own artificial blood. Boy, did I use the hell out of that. Okay. Creating weird skin textures, artificial eyes, false teeth, bald head caps, hair, beards, and wigs. And Chapter 11, Advanced Makeups. There's a couple of pictures here of some of the creatures that you can create. Model without makeup, model with strong highlights and shadows, getting into the shadowing techniques. It's great. A wrinkle map. Painting strong highlights and shadows is good practice, of course. And he gets into the various materials that he uses. Makeup materials, where to buy them. Man, what a list from back in the day. Paramount Theatrical Supplies, Stein Cosmetic, Max Factor, there you go. Artist Materials, Arthur Brown Inc. Beauty Shop Materials, Standard Beauty Supply. Dental Materials, SS White Dental. Latex, Paramount Theatrical Supplies. Sculpture Materials, Sculpture House. Wigs, of course, back to Paramount. And Bob Kelly Wig Creations as well. And he just goes into the various materials for, of course, doing all the stuff in this magazine and more. And we get right into it with your basic vampire. I think probably every kid did this makeup. You know, it's basic, but it really gives you a good intro into shading. As he says here, shadowing the cheekbones and temple. Eye shading, of course. Popular with the goth crowd later. Naturally. It's starting to look really good there. Penciling the eyebrow, finishing touches. Homemade fangs. Yes, indeed. Got that. And you come out with a really respectable looking vampire. He's quite good. And I love the teeth too. That's a nice little touch there. And then we have Ghoul number 1. Now this is just grease paint art, relatively simple stuff, and you come out with the groovy ghoulie. Douglas Smith, age 12, for Split Face. Oh yeah, that's another great just grease paint example here. Builds it up, and then he gets into details there. Very cool. And your final split-faced result, and it looks it's really quite great. Werewolf. Now this is pretty cool. This starting with the getting the shading in there, and of course adding some crepe hair there, and you come up with a very respectable looking werewolf for a simple makeup. That is really quite nice indeed. Weirdo. Now this one I never did, but I was always fascinated with it. I just never did the makeup. Make your eyes there, finished weirdo eye on that, and of course there's the nose. Here's the pattern for the teeth. He's starting to look really great. The finished product, of course, he's got the helmet with the official Weirdos logo on it, and of course that looks totally awesome. Martian #1. Now this is Gary Evangelist, age 17, and basically it's a, you know, just an inflated plastic ball. The ball was an inexpensive plastic one, smooth on the outside, diameter is about 2 inches bigger than the head of the subject. So you cut it out, fit it on the head, making the eyes. 2 compartments were cut out of an egg storage tray. Okay. Of course, you could also do those with ping pong balls as well, but really cool patterns on the eyes. Give it that alien look. But there's your basic Martian #1. Martian #2. Now they're starting to get into a few other details here. With Martian #2, you got Douglas Smith, the model, age 12. There we go. And you end up with this freakish looking Martian there. Ghoul #2, Gary Parker, age 17. And this is, of course, using cotton and latex. You're building up the face and making a very, very cool looking ghoul. Now let's get to some skull. The skull. You start off with your bald cap, and you get into the grease paint. Here they have a pattern for the teeth that you can use. It's really quite good. Final touches. Get your cloak, your hood on there, and that's pretty spooky looking. Really quite nice. Martian #3. This is getting a little more involved, definitely. Really cool looking insect type eye. These are latex, foam, just foam latex you can cut out. They give you the pattern. Then we start off, he's got the bald cap, black out the mouth, and that's because that's where your mouthpiece is going to go there. And so you get all the pieces attached to the face, you get the eyes on there, and then you start coloring it. And the lighting is great on this, there's no doubt about that. It's really quite cool. And here we go with the mummy. Now this is accomplished using bits of muslin cloth. As they show here, he's applying the cloth. Measure out a half cup of water, put it in a bowl, then you're going to add food coloring. And you will use this to wet and tint your pieces of muslin towel before you stick them on. So that's the idea. Muslin will produce a certain effect, wrinkled effect. And so he's applying the bits of muslin. And our final result here, that is a great looking mummy. Nose putty and mortician's wax. He gets into the, really good basics. Scars, cuts, bruises, and blood. Right here, folks. Yes, collodion, rigid collodion. That stuff worked like a charm for scars. Various types of scars there. Mortician's wax, bruises. Yeah, this is using rigid collodion, then you put your blood in there. And it looks really quite nice. Great mortician's wax wound. That is very well done. Weird skin textures. I remember doing this one. You apply latex on the face with a rubber sponge, then you apply breadcrumbs to the latex all over your face. As this guy's doing here, you start building up the nose. You can, work with it and get some distortion going on your face, get those cheekbones jutting and all that stuff. Then of course you apply the brown powder, applying black powder, and you come up with a really great looking ghoul right there. That is quite nice, and of course then it peels off for a permanent mask. Latex stipple with cotton, and of course stretching and letting it dry. All that stuff, of course, keeping latex out of the hair. That's an absolute must. Artificial eyes, then they really get into it. Now here he is using ping pong balls, cutting away the ping pong balls to form the eye, making a duplicate eye, just putting the finished eye on top of the ping pong ball and simply cutting around. False teeth he gets into, bald head caps, make your own, hair, beards, and wigs. Derelict. Now we're getting into the advanced makeup. Such a freaking great makeup. I love this. Werewolf number 2. Now this is where you start getting into like doing your ears. He's got a pattern for the ear tips. Nose partly lengthened, ear tips attached. You know, it starts getting into it. You're getting into your grease paint there. Makeup complete. That's really nice looking. And of course adding the hair. Just continuously adding all the hair pasted on and combed. Then you're going to get a trim in there, and you're going to end up with a spectacular Wolfman. Quasimodo. Once again, using putty to build up those areas, adding the Quasimodo eye. Oh yeah. Gelatin is placed on the face here. Gelatin mixture. They're building that up to just make him look totally distorted. Latex coat and makeup applied. Wig attached. Nice looking wig there. And then of course you end up with a really decent looking Quasimodo. Mr. Hyde. Yeah, you're starting to get into some fine stuff. Cotton applied spirit gum. Cotton plucked off. Stretch, skin stretched while latex on cotton dries, giving you the wrinkle effect step by step. And then of course adding the hair once again. Again, a fantastic Mr. Hyde. New Frankenstein monster. Oh yeah. Diagram of facial muscles and blood vessels. This one is extensive. It's using all manner of materials. Wax and putty structures, of course, building up the face. Thick cotton jaw. Thick cotton for jaw muscle shaped cotton on temple. God, it's really, this is quite complicated. Making brow muscles, thick narrow pieces for these muscles here. Continuing to build and build. Gelatin applied to one side. See how that's going to look. And then of course the finished result. And this very much reminds me of The Incredible Melting Man. And I kind of wonder if Rick Baker didn't get some direct inspiration from this particular makeup. But that ends it. That is the last. Here are many of the makeups that were shown in this book. Dick Smith also eventually did a fantastic DVD, Monster Makeup, hosted by Dick Smith. Learn the techniques used by the award-winning makeup artist behind films like The Exorcist, The Sentinel, and more. Of course, Taxi Driver. Using easily available materials, you can transform yourself into any kind of creature that you wish to become. Amaze and frighten your friends. Win prizes at parties. Learn professional secrets that might start you on your way to a movie career. And this was actually released 2008 by SRS Cinema, who also released my film Zombie vs. Mardi Gras in 1999. There is something on Amazon. I have put the link in the description that you will want to check out, because not only is it this DVD, it's a combo DVD. It's Halloween makeup and effects with Tom Savini and Dick Smith, with a special bonus featurette, Zombie Jamboree 1993. So check out the link in the description. I think you'll find this fascinating. Of course, Tom Savini has done several books and videos on monster makeup techniques and so forth. So this combination of Savini and Dick Smith in one DVD is just fantastic, and it is on sale. I love Rick Baker, of course. I love Rob Bottin, and there are numerous others that just did fantastic makeup work. But back in the day, for me, it was Tom Savini and Dick Smith. Also linked in the description is the brand new paperback version of James Warren, Empire of Monsters. All about famous monsters of Filmland, Vampirella, Creepy, Eerie, covering the history of those publications and James Warren himself. Fantastic. You've got to get it. If you are a Creepy, Eerie, Famous Monsters of Filmland fan, get James Warren, Empire of Monsters on paperback today. Thank you, and I'll talk to you soon.